So this seems like an unprecedented situation. A Supreme Court nominee appearing to criticize the president who picked him. But like everything else in Washington, it's complicated. Now, I'm talking here, of course, about Neil Gorsuch, who has been making the rounds on the Hill, talking to the senators, some of them who vote on his nomination. This against the backdrop of President Trump aggressively criticizing the Seattle judge who has temporarily blocked his travel ban, calling him a so-called judge, as I'm sure you have heard, and his ridiculous ruling, which President predicts will be overturned. So, against that backdrop, one of the senators that Gorsuch goes to see is Democrat Richard Blumenthal of Connecticut, who then comes out and says publicly that Gorsuch told him that he was disheartened and demoralized by what his president had to say about this particular judge and, seeming attack on the independence of the judiciary. So, of course, the president strikes back in a couple of ways. First of all, he attacks Blumenthal, as is his political right, goes on Twitter, repeats it to reporters. Well, why don't you ask Blumenthal about how he lied actually, about his service in Vietnam? And that part is true. Back in 2010, Blumenthal is a candidate. He had long said that he had served in Vietnam. Turns out he never actually went to Vietnam. He was in the Marine Reserves in Washington, and so he was actually caught in that lie by the New York Times. President Trump also blames the coverage, saying you, meaning the media, misinterpreted what Gorsuch said. So we then learned from Republican Senator Kelly Ayotte, who's actually working with the White House on this nomination, that yes, he had also said to her that he was disheartened and demoralized, but he was speaking generally about the importance of protecting an independent judiciary and not on any particular case. And Sean Spicer hammered that home as well. So here's what's really going on. It greatly helps Neil Gorsuch, and I have no doubt that he's speaking sincerely, to be viewed by Democratic senators and just by everybody else as somebody who is not going to just agree with whatever President Trump says, and somebody who has the gumption to stand up for the judiciary when particular judges are attacked. But now he's got the cover of saying, well, wasn't talking about any particular case, wasn't really addressing the specific comments of President Trump, just speaking in generally how we have to have an independent judiciary. Well, that's how you send signals. I wasn't, of course, challenging this, but I was standing up for the co-equal third branch of government. So the White House is not unhappy, maybe not happy with the coverage certainly, but not unhappy with the fact that this got out and it makes Blumenthal look more independent, because every Supreme Court justice, if he or she is confirmed, has to then vote on cases involving the president who appointed him or her, and so it's good to signal independence. And here's how we know that Gorsuch wanted this out, and maybe the administration as well. My first thought was Richard Blumenthal betraying a private conversation by going public with this? But Blumenthal said in an interview that Gorsuch had told him it was okay to publicly describe their conversation. So signal sent. Gorsuch helps his nomination, perhaps at least marginally. Trump gets to say it's misinterpreted and to attack a Democratic senator and to attack CNN's Chris Cuomo, who had interviewed Blumenthal. So everybody gets to take their shots. The media are happy because they've got a hot story. And I don't think that Neil Gorsuch did anything to hurt his nomination.